evening. This is Viewpoints and Points to View. And I'm here with Kevin Stewart Swain and Al Harlow. And these gentlemen are friends. They work together on different projects, and we're about to find out what that is. And why don't I start with Al to my right here. What exactly are you and Kevin working on these days?
We ask ourselves that often. Well, we're in the middle of producing a rock album right now. And Kevin's co-producer, I'm the artist, we're co-writers, and we're working at a Vancouver studio called Alchemy with a producer-engineer named Scott Young. And we're just getting the art out. We're not restricting ourselves in any way. I mean, I think we know what we're doing in the realm of pop music and roots-based music, and we're just following our taste buds here. And I'll let Kevin completely contradict everything I just said.
All right, Kevin, let's hear your contradiction. He's not really telling the truth, and you're in a lot of trouble because you got to make up ground for it. So let's see what Kevin got to say here.
Well, Al, any musician that grew up playing music in Vancouver is aware of Al and Prism, and I met him doing a benefit for a friend of ours that was recovering from cancer, and I happened to be in a room with another friend of ours, quite a successful musician, who we were working on a song of mine, and he said, "Oh, Al Harlow just sent me a message about playing at this thing," and I said, "What songs is he doing?" So he says, blah, 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 and all songs I grew up with. So I get to work and I learned them all. And the first time I met Al, I said, if you need a bass player tonight, I know your songs. And that was the beginning of it. And as I got to know Al, I realized that something that was really important to him was to do his own music again. Because he was an original artist. He kind of let that go to be in Prism. And I just really wanted to see that continue to do that, and just really hit it off good. So we're making a record right now together, and it was supposed to be all about Al and his original material, but as he was saying, it's kind of sidetracked a little bit. There's some other writers involved and everything, but at the heart of it, Al and I are creating a record that represents who Al Harlow is as a solo artist.
Now, Al, you're being a solo artist, but for our audience that doesn't know much about your past, tell us in a few sentences there what Prism is, what kind of band it was, when were they relevant? Well, they're still relevant now, actually. I'm told the other day with this, ladies and gentlemen, he's relevant, okay? He's singing with Prism right now, but Prism started way back when? What was the first year?
Well, the first album was in 1977. And everybody thought we were American because it charted on Billboard before it came up into Canada. But we had actually been together in various combinations for 10 years prior to that, since we were kids. And so it was a natural thing to do, and they tapped me on the shoulder. So as Kevin said, I kind of bailed on my own solo work at that time. I mean, I was working, my band was called Harlow, and we'd already recorded an album. And we were shopping at the time, and Bruce Fairburn, who was our producer and started his career producing Prism and sort of organizing all of us, and he later went on to producing Bon Jovi and Aerosmith and people like that. He kind of came in and raided the cookie jar. He said, well, these are the songs of yours on your prospective album that I want to bring over to Prism. And because we were a team, we were called the Seeds of Time before it was Prism, and I was in and out of that band. So we were good friends, and it just made sense at the time, because they had a worldwide record contract and so forth. So anyway, we managed to have a good 6 or 7 year run, 8 albums. We picked up the Juno Awards and did all that kind of stuff. So it did what it was supposed to do. But I could never shake the fact that I still had my own work to do, and being a working musician, session man, performer, playing with various projects and so forth. It is easy to get sidetracked if you don't just stay focused on the beam. So as Kevin said, once we struck up our friendship, he said, well, Al, the one thing you've never done is what you set out to do. And so I'm very glad that he said that, so I managed to find my focus again. So I think Brian Wilson recently said in his new book, what I got sidetracked from doing in my late 20s, I'm doing now.
So Kevin, it's a bit of a synergy between you two guys. You know, I've talking to you now for a little while, Kevin, and you and I have had a little bit of conversation, and the connection you guys have together right now, it's like you're coming together for the first time, and you, one person has a certain skill, the other guy has a certain talent and skill, and you're saying, hey, let's go ahead and create this. Just like the good old times when you start out when you're with a band. All original music or creativity, I guess, starts there like that anyway. So tell us about this solo album that you're doing right now, these songs. How did they come about? And, you know, whereabouts are you now in the transition of that and before it's fully completed?
Well, you know, any solo work, when I think of the solo artists whom I admire, we were talking about Canada here, Bruce Cockburn. I mean, you know, look at people that are, I mean, not that we're dropping names here or making any kind of, you know, mini-me comparisons, but earlier we mentioned David Bowie, Elton John, Elvis Presley. There's collaboration. You can't do it without collaboration. You know, there's no man is an island, you know. And so, you know, the key is always a healthy and respectful collaboration where one guy can finish the other guy's sentences, you know, where you start off with a song, you end up with a nice big arrangement. So, I mean, I became Kevin's musical friend and vice versa, and I think I really began to trust the taste in the room and the talent in the room. And Kevin introduced me to Scott Young, and I think between the three of us, we can look at each other and we can move this thing where it's supposed to be going. So on the one hand, it's the Al Harlow album, but I mean, I just can't be any kind of a benign dictator. I mean, if someone's got a good idea and it fits in with the trajectory of where we're going with this thing, then it's just common sense that I'm going to welcome input and welcome ideas. And so Kevin is benevolent enough to say, okay, you know, it's got your brand, maybe got your label on it. You know, I'm kind of picking up where I left off with my solo career, but I've just, as Kevin said, we've widened the scope and so forth, and there's some really good input from both Kevin and from Scott Young.
So Kevin, it must be nice to be working with Mr. Al Harlow with such a history, and having been very successful in the past, and you have been doing very well as a bass player, but now being a co-producer on an album with Al, this really must be very exciting for you at this time. Do you want to share a little bit of that excitement with us?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's creatively fulfilling. It's you know, it kind of happened for a reason, and there's all kinds of different things going on for both of us all the time, but you kind of naturally go towards what seems to be feeling right and working. We talked about it. Al and I spent a lot of time on phone calls just chatting about life and everything.
You should see our cell bill.
But we just, you know, it was something we knocked around for a while, and I knew we were going to do it. You know, but it did take us a while, and there's a lot. I mean, Prism is very viable right now. There's a lot of shows. I got a lot of shows doing my thing, so we have to work around it. We have to work around the kindness and generosity of people that are helping us out. But yeah, it's a labor of love, and yes, it's very exciting, very creative. Al's really generous. We're doing a song I wrote, you know, so I'm creatively fulfilled in every way. I'm playing bass, I played a bit of guitar, I'm writing, I sang some background vocals the other day. Yeah, I feel great. This is where I like to be. I don't want it to be the Kevin Stewart Swain album. Maybe it's part of being a bass player. Al and I have both been bass players, but there's something about being behind the scenes to some degree, and if you enjoy that, that's the place to be. That's where I naturally seem to fall. I like it.
Well, that's wonderful, Kevin. It's nice to be able to be, you know, going forward at your age in this life and so on. And it brings us to the final subject we want to talk about in Viewpoints and Points of View. And one of the main reasons why Kevin came over to see us, and Al, and that's about a venture you're both involved with. And Kevin happened to write a song. It's called Falling Apart, and it's going to be the theme song for the movie Fentanyl coming up. Al's going to be performing it in the movie with a group, And we're also going to have a fusion take, Indian East-West fusion, with a singer from India, who's an actress, a performer, and she's doing quite well there. And eventually we'll be doing some sort of fusion, a mixture of the music, and her performing with you on the stage, coming over here in Vancouver and touring Canada, hopefully in India as well, when the movie is to be released. Now, with this particular subject matter, fentanyl, very interesting. You gentlemen have gone through many, many years in the industry. You've had a lot of challenges personally. We don't have to go into those, just to acknowledge it. But you lived a certain culture, and you're on the other side of that. You are walking a life now that is spiritual in context. You are creating new art, new meaning in what you're doing for your own lives. And you're bringing a message to the young people, and it appears to me from our discussions that this is what interested you in being involved in this movie. So tell us a little bit about your motivation to want to be in this movie and have some creative input into it, in the subject of fentanyl.
Me first.
Yes, Kevin, go ahead.
Well, I'm happy to do anything that helps with younger people getting on the right track and getting a chance to live. Because these days, we had our experimental years, let's say, and you could just shake that off in a couple weeks. You get a new set of clothes or a new hairdo, or you stop doing whatever you were doing chemically that was bad for you, and we could just walk away and it all evaporates. Now it's so serious. One wrong move and you're dead. One wrong tattoo, everything's permanent. Sex can kill you. What a time I feel bad for the kids that they're in this troubled time, but it's a much bigger picture. I mean, we're all kind of just the victims of a spiritual poverty, I think, that's in the world, and it all trickles down to the bottom. And musicians are kind of, we're at the bottom. Like, most of us aren't filthy rich, and we see the pain. We've seen that. We've all got friends that have died. We've got friends right now that are in bad places. We've seen it. We've been there. So a movie about drugs and helping kids. Of course, me and Al both we're both we do that, right?
We feel the same way about it. Yeah, we're happy to help.
So Al, I was really appreciative when you decided to be able to do this movie, because like Kevin said, people are dropping dead, and young people, and they're going out there and they have no mentorships. There's insufficient leadership from in schools, from the government, not to invalidate their efforts, but there's a disconnect in the culture. And I believe that artists play a very, very important role in creating new culture. And we need more of them that participate in that direction, rather than just being part of it economically, and however they're written into scripts in movies or performances and so on. So for you to take and Kevin to take a very direct approach in this, a stand-up approach in this, to be involved in a movie that's going to be on the other side of that, and to be able to point the way to a less dangerous life, more happier life, and to deliver a very strong message is a very honorable thing. We want to thank you for that to start with. So, again, without repeating ourselves, what do you see for yourself in such a movie? How do you see, what's this going to do for you as a person?
Well, I think it gives us a meaningful platform to make some good music, and we're very much looking forward to the stylistically to the cross-cultural version of Kevin's song. I mean, if we do a Bangra version, of a North American rock song, I mean, we're going to have a blast. And hopefully that vibe will reach the audience. We're going to have fun with it. And at the very same time, as Kevin said, we escaped a dangerous culture ourselves and you know, some of our friends were not so fortunate, and a lot of young people, you know, they perhaps can't see what they're getting. What's cool now could kill you, you know. And we're here to say, well, guess what? You know, you can only come around this path once, and you know, we want the young people to shine and not make big mistakes. You know, we managed to slip through the noose, and so we just want to, you know, get up and deliver what we do in a way that hopefully will just demonstrate, you know, to young people who may be considering, you know, their lifestyle options that, all right, we see another way to go here, and we'll do it via what we do best and what we love to do.
Well, we're looking forward to the song, the completion of the song. We're looking forward to your part of the movie, to see you performing on stage, right? See you up on this big stage performing this beautiful song. I got a chance to hear the song. It's absolutely wonderful. And I think the message is going to reach an awful lot of people from all different generations. And it's not a gospel preaching concept. It's a spiritual, emotional calling out. That's all I'm going to say about it, not too much. About where a person is at, where they've been, where they're coming from, and a need to be able to be assisted and helped. And I think, you know, hearing your voice and singing, you're going to do this song service. It's going to be phenomenal. I want to thank you guys for coming in today to speak about this very sensitive subject, fentanyl. And we're looking forward. Kevin Stewart Swain, remember that, look it up on YouTube, give him lots of likes. He's a very likable guy, Kevin, you know. He'll grow on you after a while. You just look at his Facebook and all of that, and now you're a wonder to spend time with. And check Al out, check out Prism, check out some of his new work that's coming up. And this is Patrick Walsh with Viewpoints and Points to View. Want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Take care.